Right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Clay. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's great to have another conversation with you.
Yes, it's great. What we are going to discuss today is related with some issues that we mentioned previously. Um, we are going to discuss about the speaking skill, some suggestions, ideas. Yes, I feel like in general we are going to discuss these points precisely. Um, this is related what we discussed previously because to begin with, we can say that to practice or to start to practice your speaking, you need to take into account that you are going to learn how to speak or how to learn speaking or something like that. So you need to take into account to, as I always say, to start from the beginning. This is like some issues to take into account as a guide, because a lot of people make the mistake to try to practice speaking, learning, or practicing writing, or trying to produce complex grammatical sentences. So you need to start from the beginning, as I always say. So you need to take into account um, your speaking skill, because to train your speaking, or one way to learn is by listening to the spoken language. So one good idea is to practice your listening, as we said previously. Listen to podcasts, daily conversations, common phrases, common noun verbs, because as I said previously, is to me, from my perspective, this is my perspective. I don't have, the best words, but from my perspective, it's a good idea to train your listening with real conversation, with basic conversations, um, acquire vocabulary that you are going to use in your everyday life. Actually, I this is a good way to train your listening. I mean, watch this kind of videos, because we don't use, or in my case, I don't use complex vocabulary. I don't use complex sentences, because my idea is to share my opinion, to to share my point of view. So um, and at the same time, you are training your listening. This is the first step, because um, if you practice your writing or your reading, I mean, reading and writing they come later. So first of all, you need to start with your listening skill, and after that, you can start to practice your speaking, because obviously it's something very difficult to achieve. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's something easy. What do you think about this?
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. Listening it's just that it's crucial to um, all sorts of skills in English, like speaking, reading, writing. It always comes first. Yeah, as we said, I believe we discussed in our previous conversation, um, where we were saying listening. When we were born, we started with listening to our parents or people around us. So it's like the input of images. So we've got all the images in our brain. Then we could digest the information and kind of give an output. So in this case, output would be speaking. If we don't have enough input, we might not be able to give enough output. Yeah, that's true. We do need to practice listening, going along with the speaking. And also, yeah, you also mentioned like we could like practice speaking in our daily life as well. So I really want to emphasize that point. It's what I use in my daily life. So I ingrain English into my life. I just don't want to make it a bit natural, difficult to change or remove. Like as I said, I'm not native English speaker, so for me that's a second language. And when I come across all sorts of situations, my default response is always um expressing in Chinese instead of English. Then I find it quite fascinating to give a pause and express yourself in English. In that for the first, in the first circumstance, that would help you clear your mind and build up an English way of thinking when something comes up. So I do feel like that's really helpful to me. I'm not sure if it applies to everybody, but I think that's a really good way to help you build an English way of thinking. And yeah, at the same time, I would say just be confident. In the beginning, it can be quite difficult to start a habit. Like, I started speaking English to to my friends and my mom. In the beginning, they were a little bit like they just felt a bit weird, and I was saying, "Don't worry, I'll translate it into another language after speaking to you in English." So that helped me transfer, like transfer from one language to another language quickly. So in the beginning, it was really hard for me. I was kind of pushing myself in in all different directions. I was like, okay, it's okay. Yeah, which word I need to choose, which word or which route I need to go for. If you got 2, 3 languages in place, it's because I've got my dialect as well, and I'm kind of learning Spanish as well. So I need to figure out which route, which path that I need to go on. But you will get used to it over time, and you will find like that's just a big leap. Yeah, if you feel comfortable that way. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, yes, it's very difficult. That is something very difficult to achieve. I mean, to think in English, if obviously it's your second language, it's not your mother tongue. Um, in my case, Spanish is my native language, so it was very difficult to start to think in English. I don't know when I achieved that goal. I don't know. I'm not aware. But yes, it's very difficult. But I feel like that is related um, with I mean, to automate the vocabulary, the grammatical rules, to improve your fluency. Because I mean, when you are speaking with certain rhythm, you can't be all the time translating your mother tongue a sentence into English and so on. You are thinking in English. You are not you are not thinking in the grammatical rules.
Yeah.
You are just speaking. So it's very difficult to start to think in that second language. But I feel like it's an issue of practice, practice all the time, because when you become a fluent speaker, you're not thinking the grammatical rules. Obviously, in my case, when I make a mistake, I mean, I'm aware of that mistake, but I think, well, the next time I'm going to change that, but
Yeah,
it's okay. It's part of the process.
yeah,
So you need to automate the grammatical rules, the vocabulary, and the only way to achieve that, or I don't know if it's the only way, but um, you need much practice and practice all the time, because and when you are talking with fluency, it's like you are producing the sentences. It's without think. It's without think. Uh, that is something that is when you are translating in your mind, you are like overthinking. You are thinking a lot in what you are going to say, and in that moment you make a lot of mistakes because you don't know if that sentence if is correct, or I don't know
yeah,
the tense, so or the position of the words. So you need to be and the role of the confidence is very important as well. I
yeah,
mean, I mean, when you're talking that language, your confidence is okay. I mean, I'm aware that there are a lot of people that they feel maybe shy, maybe they are not confident with their skills. So the role of the confidence, be confident with yourself is very important as well. Um, and yes, and train your fluency. Your fluency, the different strategies that the fluency is the different strategies that we have to maintain a conversation going. So the only way to achieve that is through practicing, and at the same time taking into account the accuracy. The accuracy is, we can say that the correct use of breath, basically.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you need to
exactly.
mix. What
Yeah,
do you think?
yeah, that's so true. Exactly. Like language is a tool. I still believe language is a tool. It's not something that we um like well, it's not like something that we need to carry it everywhere, or we just need to achieve as perfect as they can be. It's a it's a tool that we use to communicate with people. That's why fluency is very important, and how you express yourself is truly important. Even let's say when we speak our mother tongue, we might not be able to express ourselves very well, and it might cause some misunderstanding or some miscommunication. It happens, and I believe it happens to everybody. Well, yeah, so learning English is the same. We can't just say, okay, if I speak to a person and that person would completely understand what I mean. That might happen, but might not happen. So the things, as long as you could, just to give your best shot to express yourself, to kind of make it fluent, just create that kind of flow of conversation. That would be great. I still feel like that's essential needs of human beings. Yeah, we need to communicate with other people. We're a social animal. We just need to do that. So yeah, and at the same time, I do feel like it's you were saying like you don't need to be you don't need to be put a lot of focus on your grammar, or like I don't know, accuracy. That's true. We need to be aware of that, but we don't need to be very cautious, very careful with that. Otherwise, you won't be able to speak at all. Yeah, that is how it's meant to be. Yeah, I do. I could totally relate myself to that. When I talk to somebody, sometimes I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, or if the vocabulary that I like I have adopted is a correct one. I will just look up on the internet or just use the dictionary to confirm. Okay, I'm delivering the right message. I'm just expressing myself in the right way. Yeah, that would be helpful. That's why what I mean is, yeah, we need to have a basic, like just a basic foundation, like basic vocabulary. At the same time, we have a bit like basic understanding of grammatical structure, and we need to practice with others. Like we need to practice listening and speaking at the same time. They go hand in hand. On top of that, I would say like just develop your English way of thinking. I still find like behind the scenes, behind all the languages, there is a culture. There's a certain culture behind. So we do need to delve into that culture. The way to delve into that is to one of the best ways I believe is to develop the way of thinking. So yeah, so I would say if we could just create a system to learn language that might help you improve the speaking, listening, reading and writing. Yeah, and there's one more thing I would like to mention is confidence. I believe we talked about that before. Yeah, I would like to ask Eric, what do you think? Like, what's your thoughts on confidence when speaking?
I feel like it's very important. I mean, but I was going to say that you need to be aware
Mhm.
of be aware that this learning process. Be aware of your own skills, because you're obviously, when you start to practice your speaking, you're not going to be able to have a good pronunciation or to control, I don't know, the tonic syllables, the intonation. So it's something very difficult to achieve. Actually, I'm working on it. But so it's time, it's a process.
Yeah,
So don't be shy to produce a lot of mistakes in your
yeah,
pronunciation, because as we said previously, um, the errors are there all the time. We
yeah,
need to learn
yeah,
from them. We don't need to be shy
yeah,
um, to to produce mistakes. So I feel like if you are aware of your own skills,
mhm,
you will not have problems with your confidence, because you know that you, for example, started since, I don't know, a short period of time. Obviously, you're not going to speak as a, I don't know, I'm not going to say as a native speaker, but
yeah,
as a fluent speaker of English. If you started, I don't know, 2, 3, or 5 months ago, right? And that depends in the time you are spending learning that language, obviously, because
yeah,
it's not the same if you practice every day, I don't know, 2, 3 hours per day, than if you practice once per week.
yeah,
So you need to be aware of your own skills.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you just that you were telling the truth. I'm a firm believer of practice breeds confidence. But we usually say practice makes perfect. But for me, I I I don't feel like anybody, like everybody has got mistakes, everybody has got like lights and shades. We're not perfect, we're human beings, we're not perfect. So I would say practice breeds confidence and practice breeds permanence. So I would yeah, I feel like confidence is truly something that we need to work on. If myself, I'm still working on that. So like to be honest, I feel like there's always always some occasions where I kind of lack confidence. I was like, okay, then it's okay. Everyone feels like that, and it's and also we make mistakes every day. That's how we are meant to be as humans. So I do feel like if you make a mistake, that's okay. It's a good thing. You can learn from it and move forward. Yeah, so we do need to keep a growth mind when learning another language, learning anything. It's like learning curve. Yeah, I guess I'm still like on that path. I know I'm on the right direction. I'm still working on that, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, so do you have any other ideas that you like to share in terms of speaking, like or
Uh,
the role it plays in reading and writing, something like that?
no, to me, it's okay. I feel like we discuss in general, the main topics or the main ideas that you have to take into account to train or to start to train your speaking skill.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I also would like to say comparison is a thief of joy. So when we yeah, we just need to be ourselves. You are a brilliant human. You don't need to compare with anybody else. That's what I usually tell to myself. So I hope yeah, I really hope our audience can enjoy this conversation, and yeah, just have a lovely day and take good care until next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.